Hi and welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Today I have a review and comparison for you on stamp platforms. So there are now lots of different stamp platforms on the market, and I did previously do a review both on the Tim Holtz platform and on the MISTI versus the Stampin' Up. But now we have this huge array of different types and sizes, and maybe you want to know what the best one for you is or what the pros and cons of each one is. So I have two sizes of MISTI that we're going to go through. I have the new Stamparatus from Stampin' Up, and I have both the travel and original size of Tim Holtz Platform by Tonic. So let's get started. So we have a good selection here of some of the different platforms available on the market. I have two sizes of MISTI here. I have the new Stampin' Up Stamparatus, and I have the two sizes of the Tim Holtz platform as well. So there's also a couple of others that I don't have. Hampton Art, still I think in Europe possibly, have a version which is very much like the MISTI. I used to have that. There is a review of that versus the MISTI on my channel. I'll link that up in that top right hand corner for you as well. So that's one option you have. There's also a new We Are Memory Keepers version. I had the previous one. Again, I did a video which will be in that top right hand corner. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I actually gave mine to Kelly so that she could do some stamping at home. But there is a newer version which I'll be reviewing once it's available, and I've got one. But of course the beginning started with the MISTI. So let's have a look at that first of all. So the MISTI actually comes in three sizes. I have two of them here. This is the mini MISTI that I have permanently set up with my swatching piece on here, and this just stays in my swatching drawer. It's set up that I can put my 2-inch squares in here and it stamps out perfectly, and I can label underneath. This is the regular, so this is the original MISTI size. So you've got the 8.5 inches this way and 6 just around about the half this way, so you can fit a card front size piece of cardstock, overlapping a little bit on the end there. So you can also overlap this one. You can stamp things that are slightly bigger, and you can just allow it to hang out the edge like this, and that would work fine. This will stamp clear stamps and red rubber stamps. So if you want to use a red rubber stamp, you remove this foam that's in here. You can also get a mouse pad that has a laminated piece of grid on there, and you just stamp on here. If you're stamping with a photopolymer, then you pop that foam back in and you can stamp again. Now when you buy the MISTI, it does have some grid paper in it. I normally laminate a piece of that grid paper and pop it inside my MISTI. I actually have two of the original MISTIs. I thought they were a really awesome idea. This is a slightly older one, and you can see it's definitely been more loved, but exactly the same. You can also now buy different colours of rulers if you want them. You can buy long magnets, extra magnets, etc. I do have an issue with the MISTI in the fact that they do not warranty the magnets until they get to you. So I did have one MISTI that arrived with broken magnets, and I wasn't very happy that they weren't going to send me any replacements. I have had that happen with a Tim Holtz platform that I bought as a gift, and Tonic sent me magnets instantly that I could reuse in that platform. So I do have some issues with the customer service side of MISTI. It's something that does, I think is important. You need to stand behind your product. I do like the grid on the top here as well. You can't clean this with regular cleaners. This side that has the laser etch, which is your top side, you need to use the Novus cleaners. So as I was saying before, I bumped the head with Tilly. She's fine now, but so you can only clean this with Novus solution. The inside you can pretty much clean with anything. I try Windex, sometimes my alcohol blending solution if it's something. Like stays on the inside. I also do cut down my craft mats. I'm not sure if this is a MISTI size one. So I cut these down to put inside here. It means I can make as much mess as I like. It's easy to clean up. and it also means I can apply some heat in here if I want to as well. I've also taken things like the Stampin' Up grid sheets, or Science's Stamp makes some. I've laminated them and then cut them down to fit in my different stamp platforms. So if you run out of that grid, you can either print some grid off the internet, you can just download 1/4 inch grid paper and laminate it, or this one I did because it does give you the measurements on here as well. So that's your MISTI. It works for red rubber, it works for photopolymer. A little bit difficult to clean, and I'm not overly happy with their customer service. So then the next one that's kind of really available is the Tim Holtz Platform. And they've also just launched the travel size. So these are the 2 different sizes. The original is 8.5 inches square. The newer one is 6.5 inches square. They come with magnets. You can also buy extra packets of magnets, and I cover them in duct tape. This is some glitter duct tape and some pink spotty. And I just covered them. So if they slip together, first of all, they're easy to slide apart. Always slide your magnets apart, don't pull them apart, and you're more likely to get breakage. And also if they do snap together, and if one of them happens to crack, you're not going to hurt yourself. They are sharp and they have been cut by them if you try, if they snap together and they shatter. So it works exactly the same way whether you get the big or the small, and the small just happens to fit well on my screen here. Magnets also available with the MISTI, as I say, that comes with some magnets. I tend to pick and mix mine. They end up in all sorts of different places. Also, if you pop to Hobby Lobby or Lowe's, you can pick up some extra magnets as well. I do particularly like the Tonic ones. They don't seem to shatter as much, and their customer service, of course, is excellent. So again, they do come with magnets, or you can buy a bar magnet. I happen to buy my bar magnet on Amazon. So all my bar magnets are sticking together, and I just popped a little bit of pink electrical tape. Yes, it does come in pink, just around here, just to help pick it up. And that's also a really nice way to go with magnets. So the Tim Holtz Platform, again, will work with your clear or your red rubber stamps. So if you want, you don't have to remove or anything on this. The top piece, the lid here, actually comes out. So if you hold it perpendicular, it will just come out like this, lifting up. So you've got one side here that says clear, the other side says rubber. So depending on what you're using, depends on which side you want face up. So if you're stamping with red rubber, you'd have your rubber side stamping up, pop it back in, clip down, and off you go. Now the other thing I sometimes do with this stamp platform is, due to patent reasons, they weren't allowed to put a piece of foam in here, but I just grabbed some craft foam from Hobby Lobby, or I'll link the place up on Amazon because I buy it in bulk anyway for my cards, and I just slide it in here. All my pieces seem to have gone missing. Maddie and her friends have been playing in my room. I spy a little piece over here. So this one I actually cut for the larger platform, but I can absolutely use it in the smaller one. The thing about the Tim Holtz Platform is you can use, oh, my magnets snuggled together. You can use any size piece of paper. So even though that this piece of paper is 8.5, or piece of foam rather, is 8.5 inches square, I can still use it because these 2 sides here, so these 2 sides, which when you close is this bottom corner here, allows you to have anything going out. There's no guides that stop you in any way. You could have a 12 by 12 piece in the 6.5 inch square platform, and if you wanted to stamp all the way around, you could just keep turning it like this and stamping down. Now if you're using the foam, that won't work with the red rubber, but it does work with your photopolymers. It's totally personal preference. You don't have to. It will stamp fine. You just give it some nice pressure on here. You don't need to be a CPR stamper, as Tim Holtz put it on one of our videos. But I just like the foam, which means when I'm using my photopolymers, I have it on that rubber side because I've added that little bit of extra layer. Again, I have cut down, and mine seem to have gone walkabout, but I do cut down my Essentials mats, my Ranger Craft mats, or my Tonic Easy Clean mats so that they fit perfectly in here. Again, it allows me to add some heat if I need to. It also allows for easy cleanup. In regards to cleaning these, you can use anything. These grids that you see on here are actually in the plastic. They're not laser printed on, they're etched into the plastic. So again, alcohol blending solution, Windex, Lysol wipes, whatever you need to do, stamp cleaner will clean these up perfectly. And the same on the bottom. Mine's a little bit grubby. I've been filming videos all morning with my platform and it will clean up super, super easily. So again, easy cleanup, stamps with your red rubber and your photopolymer. You can use Stampers foam in it if you prefer that, entirely up to you. Use a craft mat in it. You could also use those grid papers, you don't need to, but if you like that, you could make one sized appropriately and then just laminate it up to go in here that goes on the bottom. Works with magnets. Again, I do suggest taking your magnets and either putting the tape around the bar if you invest in that. I will link that below for you as well. Or just using your duct tape around them and just, also it helps just easy pick up. So when it's down like this, I can just grab the duct tape. I haven't got to get my nails or anything under there. So that's the Tim Holtz platform. And then finally, I wanted to talk to you about the Stamparatus. So this is new. This is from Stampin Up. So it has two leaves like this. So you can see there's this one that folds in and there's this one that folds in. You can see the reflection of our camera there. Again, these do lift out as well. So you can lift them out like this. It comes with a very lengthy instruction book. The grids that are on here, if I maybe put it over the white on my hand there, you can just about see it. They're not as heavy as the Tim Holtz, but you absolutely can clean it with anything because they're etched in there rather than being printed on there. So again, you can stamp with your red rubber or with your cling stamps. When you lift this piece of foam out, this is again what you would use with your photopolymer stamps. You have that grid in the bottom there, just like the grid that I made. You can pop your craft mats in there. You can also pop them on top of the foam. I really do advise whatever platform you get, grab a craft mat, whether you use the Tim Holtz mat. I like the Tonic Easy Clean mats. They're nice and white as well, so I find that helps. Or you can grab the Aga versions of this, which is this one here. Now your ink isn't going to be as easy, it's not as waterproof, but they are a cheaper option. So I'll link all three up and you can decide what's right for you. And so again, you have that piece of foam in there. You could cut your grids. I have a few of them cut that are different sizes for different platforms. Again, this works with magnets, so you could get that extra magnet with the bar on there. You could just use the magnets that come with it, or I just interchange all of mine backwards and forwards. Now, the advantage of having the two leaves like this, so this is why Stampin' Up did something a little bit different, is for those layering stamps. So I've grabbed my Ultra New stamps here, and what it's built for is stamping in bulk. So if I was going to stamp my solid one, I can pick that up on here and lift that up. And then my next detailed one, for instance, I'm not lining these up, of course, perfectly. You can stamp it on here. So the idea is I can stamp my solid with color 1, then I can go like this with number 2 and go on to my next piece. So I put my next piece of cardstock in, I do number 1, whoops, and then I do number 2, and then I grab my next piece of cardstock, and so on and so on. So you can stamp multiples of layering stamps really easy. So I do like that aspect of it. What I don't like about this one, and this is why I buy them all so I can do reviews and comparisons, and I've been playing around with this one, is storage. So when you put both of them down, I'm going to put it this way so you can see. This one here sticks up. I don't like that particularly. Now, of course, you can just lift that out and pop it on the top, but then I know that this is going to get broken off in a drawer. I'm probably going to snap something off. So for me, I don't like that aspect of it. I do like the fact, yet again, like the Tim Holtz platform, you can stamp off the edge here too. You do have that piece of foam in there, so you can use that with your photopolymers. Red rubber, again, you don't have that option. I would still put the craft mat in there regardless. It's so thin, it's not going to make any difference to your piece. Now this one on the bottom, so you've got your 2 bar magnets that come with it here in the bottom. I haven't put any tape around these yet, but I will do. So I do like that you've got somewhere to store those magnets in here. It has 4 little stoppers, which I don't find are enough, that when I'm stamping, it still moves around. So when I start to put some pressure on it, I find it kind of gives way on me a little bit. Let's try some of the others. So when we're talking about the Tim Holtz platform, they actually put the foam on the bottom. So if you choose not to use the foam, you do have that under there, and it does help as well with your impressions. But what I find is it doesn't move on me. I'm giving it, and yes, there's a little bit of movement, but I find that this just all is a little bit floppy for my liking. I really like the Tim Holtz one. Of course, I had a MISTI before I had anything else. It does also have foam on the bottom, but it's very slippy, so I'm not giving it much effort here at all, and I can move it all over the place. So in summary, for me, I prefer the Tim Holtz platform. You might prefer the Stamparatus. Others might prefer the original MISTI. It's entirely up to you and preference, which is why I wanted to review them all and give you the choices. They all stamp brilliantly. They all do the layering, so you can stamp on top and on top of each other. So if you stamped a really detailed stamp, so if you, for instance, took these old to new ones, and if we were stamping with acrylic block, we'd put it on the block, we'd stamp it down, and then if we want to stamp on top of it again, it's very difficult. We get our head in the way and we have to try and stamp on top. And 9 times out of 10, it won't be a perfect stamp on top. So the thing with the stamp platform is I can stamp 100 times. It's always going to be in the same place if my paper's up against the guides or if you've taped it in. Also means if you needed to make 50 invitations for a wedding or for a birthday party, you can stamp them all one after another after another. Everything's going to be in the same place because you're using that stamp platform as well. So there's lots of advantages to using a stamp platform. I also just did a heat embossing that I filmed this morning, and I showed you how to add extra details to your heat embossing if you miss places. And again, you would want a stamp platform for that. So I think it's an absolute must-have tool. Which one you want to get is entirely up to you. As I say, I will link to all of these in the description below. And I hope you've learned something from this video. If you have, do give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to leave us a comment about which is your favourite platform. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button or stamp it if you prefer. All the links are in the description below. And I'll see you again very soon. Happy stamping. Bye.